This is the second video for section P6 on complex numbers. We're going to just look at a few more examples of simplifying expressions in I. The first two that we have here have expressions that have I in the denominator. So if you remember, I is defined as the square root of -1, and I squared is the number -1. So in the first problem, we've got to rationalize the denominator, which is multiplying by a single radical term, just the I. And we do that, as we saw in the last section, by multiplying by that same radical. In this case, it's going to be I over I. So as we do the multiplying through the numerator, we get 2I minus 5I squared, and the denominator becomes I squared. Now we have to come back and simplify those powers of I squared. So we have 2I minus 5, which in this case is times -1, and then it's also over -1. And we end up with 2I plus 5 over -1, which we'll simply rewrite as minus 2I minus 5. In the second case, we've got two terms in the denominator. We've got a two-term expression. So the rationalizing this time has to occur by multiplying top and bottom by the conjugate, which in this case is going to be 3 plus 5I over 3 plus 5I. And as you multiply the numerator, that's going to give you 12I, and it's going to give us a positive 20I squared. In the denominator, as we multiply out the two binomial expressions, we have 9 plus 15I minus 15I, and then minus 25I squared. So as we saw in the case with the radical conjugates, the middle terms are canceling. The 59 and -15I cancel. Back in the numerator, we simplify with the I squared expressions. So there's a 12I minus 20, because the I squared is a -1. The denominator becomes 9 plus 25, because the I squared multiplies -25 by a -1. And we can finish up and write our answer as 12I minus 20 over 34. Now, we've got even numbers in the numerator and the denominator, so this can actually simplify. We can divide a 2 out from each of the terms, so the answer can rewrite as 6I minus 10 over 17. And now we have a reduced answer. In number 3, we're simply going to be squaring a binomial expression, except there's an I in it. So we're going to do as we do it with any binomial expression, and that would be to multiply it by itself. Don't make the mistake that a few of you have been making and trying to distribute that power through just to the 6 and the minus 3I. You've got to do the 4 multiplications. So we end up with 36, a minus 18I, another minus 18I, and finally a positive 9I squared. And the power of I needs to get evaluated. So there's 36 minus 36I, and the positive 9I squared is the same as 9 times -1, or a -9. And then we're able to rewrite the final answer as 27 minus 36I. All right, on to the last two. We're simply going to evaluate higher powers of I here. So the thing that we want to remember are the 3 other powers of I that we saw on the sheet from the day before. And the I to the 4th power is the one that we're most interested in. Any higher power of I can be written as a power of I that's a multiple of 4 times the remaining powers. So for example, 35 divides by 4 8 times. And there's 3 left over. So I can write the power of I to the 35th as I to the 32nd times I to the 3rd. I to the 32nd is just I to the 4th raised to the 8th. And I to the 3rd, from what we see from our chart, is minus I. The I to the 4th being 1, this is I to the 8th, or 1 to the 8th, times negative I, and we simply end up with our simplified form of I as negative 1I. Right? You're not done simplifying unless you've got your power of I as one of these three, either I itself, negative 1, negative I, or positive 1. So in effect here, we take the leftover power of I and we're able to break it down again either into 1, negative 1, or negative I. And the last example, we've got I to the 50th power. We take that power, see how many times we have a power of 4 in there. That's going to go 12 times. So there's 48, and there's 2 powers of I left over. So we rewrite I to the 50th as I to the 48th times I squared. I to the 48th is just I to the 4th raised to the 12th. I squared is simply negative 1. I to the 4th is 1. You've got 1 to the 12th times negative 1. And your I to the 50th is the same as the number, negative 1. All right, so that's it. You are done. The last section is rather short and direct. You'll be working on day 10 on your homework tomorrow, and we will have finished all of the sections in Chapter P.